Now Kid Ink rose to fame slowly, rising as an underground artist who accumulated fans and hits before he broke into the mainstream. Though none of his albums gained certification higher than gold, he had a string of highly successful multi-platinum singles and was one of the hottest artists between 2013 to 2015. He was easy to recognize in his music due to his signature melodic style of rap as well as his easily digestible lyrics. He was often credited as helping convert people to rap or hip-hop because of these qualities. But for some reason he just disappeared overnight. He went from dropping fire songs every time to literally just gone. So the question is, what happened to Kid Ink? Let's dive in and find out. What up guys, Ali here and welcome to Ali Talks Music. Add me on Instagram at Ali Talks Music as well. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Now let's get into the video. Kid Ink was born Brian Todd Collins on April Fool's Day, 1986. His love for music was on display from early in his teenage years, and he attended an after-school music program in high school. In the program, he produced hip-hop beats and tracks, and it was there that he became interested in the music scene on a more serious level. He was inspired by Pharrell Williams and Swizz beats because they had an open ear for music and wrote songs for multiple different genres and people. Initially, he was more interested in producing because to him it made more sense to stand out as a producer for the collective rather than trying to stand out in a group of 8 aspiring rap artists. As a producer for the collective, he finally scored a proper production credit in 2008 on Nipsey Hussle's first record. Nipsey had been a longtime friend of Kid Ink, and the pair had met in high school through their cousin who were best friends. The record that got Nipsey signed in the first place was Bullets Ain't Got No Names, which was produced by Kid Ink and helped both of them get their first taste of recognition in the game. In Kid Ink's own words, his first 5 years in the game were all hustle with very little payoff. He resorted to releasing mixtapes because it was so hard to make it as a producer. In 2010, he officially started rapping, releasing music under the stage name Rockstar. His first mixtape was titled World Tour and captured the attention of DJ Ill Will, the founder of Hot New Hip Hop. This led to Kid signing with Will's label, the Alumni Group, and his joint label, 88 Classic, officially changing his name from Rockstar to Kid Ink out of respect for label mate DJ Rockstar. 2011 saw Kid Ink hustling hard. He released 3 mixtapes in quick succession titled Crash Landing, Daydreamer, and Wheels Up. All 3 mixtapes had impressive features including Roscoe Dash, Ty Dolla $ign, Meek Mill, Ray J, Bow Wow, 2 Chainz, Nipsey Hussle, and Tiger, amongst others. These mixtapes generated enough buzz that in 2012 he was featured in XXL's freshman class alongside Future, Macklemore, Iggy Azalea, and French Montana, just to name a few. Now I remember when this 2012 freshman list came out. Iggy hadn't dropped Fancy yet. At the time, people felt like she was appropriating black culture, and let's just say her 2012 freshman freestyle didn't change people's opinions. Macklemore also had a significant buzz. Hobson too. He was getting all the Eminem comparisons, but yet he delivered a dope freestyle. Kid Ink's verse was also pretty good, but also pretty generic in my opinion.
No, I stay mad fly like Angry Birds. Kid Ink, I'm a beast. Dog, curve me, pockets on curvy. Tell him that it's curtains.
So yeah, 2012 was a good year for hip-hop. Now in addition to appearing on 2012's freshman class list, he finally dropped his first studio album, one which was titled Up and Away. The album was a massive flop on the charts. It peaked at number 20 on the Billboard 200 and sold 20,000 copies in its first week. The album spawned 2 singles titled Time of My Life and Lost in the Sauce. Neither of which managed to land on the charts. Now, Time of Your Life was a decent effort to capture the female demographic, but to me, the song that really slaps the most is Lost in the Sauce. Jalil Beach did his thing on this track. Hands down, one of his best hits to ever come off this album was titled Hell and Back, although it was never released as a single. Now, despite the lukewarm acceptance of his studio album, Kid Ink continued to grind, dropping his 5th mixtape in November titled Rocket Ship Shorty. The 5 mixtapes and album managed to spread his name, and get him some much needed exposure despite not yet bringing in much money. He then captured the attention of label giant RCA Records, and by 2013 he was signed. With this label, he managed to get the first taste of success, dropping his first charting single titled Badass, which featured Meek Mill and Wale. The single was by no means a hit, but it made it to number 90 on the US Billboard Hot 100. He then dropped the single Money and Power, which failed to chart in the US but performed better overseas. Both of these songs formed part of his EP Almost Home, which was released around 2013. It was his most successful EP to date, which made it to number 27 on the Billboard 200. The project sold about 20,000 copies in the first week. Not bad for an EP. Now 2013 also brought him one of his biggest singles of his career. The single was titled Show Me and featured Chris Brown. The track made charts all around the world and eventually gave him that gorgeous platinum certification. After that, it went multi-platinum and proved that Kid Ink had something to offer the mainstream market. Show Me proved that Kid Ink was a serious artist, and by 2014 he had released his second album called My Own Lane. This album was his most successful to date, earning him a gold certification and hitting charts across the world. It peaked at number 3 on the Billboard 200 and sold 50,000 copies in the first week. 3 singles were released from this album, including Show Me, and Main Chick, which also featured Chris Brown and earned him another platinum certification. He then dropped another mixtape called 4Bs before calling it a year. Now, despite his tattoos and rap star persona, Kid Ink is more or less quite clean cut. He preferred to stay out of trouble, and whilst most rappers were out waving guns and starting beefs, Kid Ink preferred to put his head down and hustle. He couldn't completely avoid the drama, however, and in 2014 he was arrested for the first time. Around 3 a.m. on a morning in August, he and a few friends were leaving the 10AK nightclub at the Mirage Hotel and Casino. They stopped to take a few pictures on the closed red carpet when his female friend got into an altercation with a third party and security. The dispute was separated before any damage was done, but both Kid Ink and the friend were arrested, on her part for giving a false statement to the police, and on his side for disturbing the peace. They were released a few hours later and charges were dropped. Now in 2015, Kid Ink returned to music and dropped his third studio album called Full Speed, landing at number 14 on the Billboard 200 and sold about 29,000 copies in the first week. In comparison to his previous album, his sales were declining. The album released 3 singles titled Body Language with Usher and Tinashe, Hotel with Chris Brown, and Be Real with Dej Loaf. Though none of these singles performed particularly well on the charts, both Body Language and Be Real earned platinum certifications. By this point, he had so much buzz that even movies wanted him to make tracks for them, and he obliged, recording Ride Out with Tyga, Wale, YG, and Rich Homie Quan. The single earned him yet another gold certification and appeared on the Fast and Furious soundtrack titled Furious 7. Before the year was out, he dropped his first commercial mixtape called Summer in the Winter. The mixtape performed averagely on the charts, but did earn him another platinum certification for the single Promise featuring Fetty Wap. By this point, a lot of people wanted Kid Ink on their tracks. He even made an appearance on Fifth Harmony's single Worth It. Arguably one of the biggest female empowerment songs of the year, Kid Ink's verses fit right in, and the single went triple platinum in the US, earning him similar certifications across the world. Now, around the same time that Kid Ink was blowing up, the Fox musical drama Empire was taking over the silver screen. The show stars fictional character Hakeem Lion and his family, who are all intent on making it in the music game. The show became an instant and raging success, with many fans theorizing that Hakeem was based on Kid Ink. While this rumor was never confirmed or denied, one can't deny the similarities between both artists. Now, the actor who plays Hakeem says the character has more in common with Kanye West, but a lot of the public were not buying it, Kid Ink included. Now, after dropping his third studio album, Kid Ink went MIA and hasn't been as active as he used to be. The bottom line is that Show Me was both the making and breaking of his career. The single was produced by DJ Mustard and had a completely different sound to his earlier music. This led to a smashing successful break into the charts and brought him a lot of newer fans, but at the same time he was isolating his core fan base. His new fans didn't know his earlier music, but loved the signature style of the single, leading to a higher demand for it. Radio started requesting that type of single from him, leading to another similar sounding track 5 months later titled Main Chick. The new single was also produced by DJ Mustard and had many of the same elements of Show Me. When Main Chick also took off, he decided to keep making that similar sound in order to appease his new audience, essentially leaning more towards pop and R&B themes. As a result, his overall sound changed, and while he was comfortable and happy with the new direction, he began to alienate his earlier fan base who preferred his underground material. In addition to these broader reasons, his personal life also took a massive 180. In 2015, he and his longtime girlfriend, fitness model Asaya Azante, I don't know how to say that name, got engaged, welcoming a baby girl in 2016. Later that year, the pair were married, and it seems like once Kid Ink's daughter was born, his priorities shifted wildly. He continued to produce and make music, but no longer did he drop pure heat in his singles, and no longer did he grind as hard as he always did. Though initially he took his daughter and wife on tour with him, even arranging for 2 buses, one for his family and one to party, he soon dropped the facade. It was difficult taking a toddler on tour, and it was clear that he just loved being a dad. So he decided to do that at home with his wife and child, and he certainly no longer needed to make music since he was a smart investor. He continued to release music at intervals because it was his passion, but his heart was at home with his daughter. According to Kid Ink, his daughter, who was 4 at the time, had gotten to the point where she could recognize his music from the tagline of the beat and would request songs that he had made in the past. He would put the music on for her and she would start dancing and jamming, and while everyone can agree that it was adorable, when she started asking him to play his 2018 single Nasty, he began to think about the impact that his music had on his daughter. While he didn't change his style or lyrics, he did become aware of them. Now in 2016, Kid Ink dropped another mixtape called RSS2, as well as the singles Nasty and Lamborghini Dreaming.
When you buy me, Lamborghini dreaming, I'm in love with your body.
And that's it. He went from dropping 3 mixtapes and 1 studio album in a year to just 1 mixtape. His priorities had clearly shifted, or maybe the climate was changing. He then dropped a couple of EPs and some non-album singles, and by 2020 he had welcomed another baby girl into his family. You know what that means? Less music from Kid Ink. Now, even though Kid Ink was releasing less music, he did drop an album in 2021 called Alive. Needless to say, by this time Kid Ink wasn't as popular as he once was, and this album was a flop. So where is Kid Ink now? Well, he's where he's been since 2016, at home with his wife and kids. He continues to make music and showers both his wife and kids with huge amounts of love. He's heavily into fitness and works out at home, sharing videos about it on Instagram. He smokes a lot of herbs.
Did you smoke this morning?
Weed don't bother me.
Did you smoke this morning?
Me?
Yeah.
Nah.
No? Because Gary, Baba Booey, you know, he thought you smoked weed. He thought you smelled like weed.
Me? Nah, I don't
Yeah.
smoke weed.
Yeah, I mean, you know weed.
I hate weed.
And sells some pretty dope merchandise, as well as recently launching 2 strains of herb. And there you have it, guys, the story of a kid who blew up on the charts and hustled every day for years to make his dreams come true. His singles were always the star of the show, and he had a fan base that stretched across the globe, particularly in Europe. He was at the height of his game when he gave it all up for family, and because, his albums were not performing as well as they used to. That's another side to it. He managed to find a way to include his passion for music in his life without it taking away from his family time, and is currently living his best life. Kid Ink gets about 6 million monthly listeners on Spotify, and his most popular songs on the platform are Show Me, Ride With Me, Promise, Main Chick, and Hell and Back. That's it for me. It's your boy Ali.
What do you take for your anxiety and depression? Weed. What about when you get really angry? Weed. What about when you have trouble sleeping? What do? Weed. I know you used to get really nauseous. What about that? Weed. But you used to do so many drugs. How did you get past all that? Fucking weed, bro.
What happened to Kid Ink in your opinion? Let me know down below. Video requests, be sure to let me know down below as well. Also add me on Instagram at Ollie Talks Music. New What Happened To video dropping next week. Till next time, peace.